Welcome to Political Witchcraft, episode number 2. Evil from the White House to the Church House. This is a deeper dive into just how we got to these rotten times in 2023. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button. If you like what you see, hit the like button. Think of a knowledge of good and evil in these dark times as a necessary plan B. It wasn't the plan A spoken of in the book of Genesis, the plan where we trust God each day for the knowledge that He wants to give us. We've always wanted to know more our way, and it's led in part to the times that we live in now. Man, woman have been blowing it for thousands of years. And now we find ourselves wandering in the darkness, surrounded by a generation dominated by zombies. They're void of character and ambition. Those who would understand what's going on are usually of a certain age, or are the children of parents who have values or had values, who had a love of God and country. We are probably talking about less than half of the country. And even though I'm focusing in on America in these videos, it applies to the whole world. It applies to whatever part of the globe you're in, because what happens in America, for one thing, affects around the world, and vice versa. Everybody else is susceptible to even poorly veiled attempts at causing division and perversion. They may glorify evil with gusto. It's true with the live off mommy and daddy crowd, infantile zombies, they abound. It's true in these times, from the White House to the Church House. As the saying goes, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. I'm Jack Willard, and this is Political Witchcraft, episode number 2. Be sure to check out episode number 1. This is an ongoing story of life in 2023. What we're doing here is we're looking for a remnant of people here on this program. I heard a preacher say once, I'm not for everybody, but I'm for some. I'm for some. After 7 years of building an audience, speaking about a pastor who may be the biggest entertainer of all times, I feel a passion deep within my soul to talk more about, to say the least, the tumultuous times that you and I live in. The last days. We have videos here on the last days with more of a spiritual approach. Watch them. When Mark Levin was set to begin his radio show years ago, he sought counsel from the most talented man to ever do talk radio, Rush Limbaugh. He could literally sit behind her microphone without a guest, even without a phone caller if he wanted to, and talk for 3 hours and hold an audience of many millions of people. That's talent. Rush Limbaugh was in a class by himself. The loss of him in these days is absolutely crushing. His replacements, Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, are excellent, but there was only one Rush. Mark Levin asked Rush way back then, when he was about to begin, quote, he said to Rush, "Well, I come on after you and Sean Hannity. Why would people want to listen to me?" And Rush looked at him and he said, "Because they haven't heard your take. They haven't heard your take." What I'm looking for here is a slice of the pie. An audience that I'm assigned to. An audience that I can interact with. I'm doing this without a network of broadcast radio stations, big internet effort. We're just doing it here, for example, on YouTube, and it will hopefully branch out into other places. But we're doing it without a lot of fanfare. I'm also without a subscriber list that are likely to care. They didn't come for politics and faith theories. They came largely for Elvis. But what if the time on the clock is 5 minutes to midnight? Isn't it important to talk to people? To talk with each other, talk with people that can tell time? If you can tell time, then perhaps you'll want to reason together. It's not time to ignore what time period we're in, where we are. It's time to prepare for a season that is different than any other in the history of the world. It's not about entertaining with big productions. Not for me. They're not in my toolbox. It's about coming together to think things out, to form a strategy, to go over the times we live in, and perhaps even find happiness in those times by making the right decisions. We also do this for the historical record, assuming there is someone around to hear it. Or will a nuclear weapon wipe us all out? Let's cut through the BS. There's enough false teaching claims of enlightenment, absolute truth according to man, and of course vain imaginings to fill up a state the size of Texas. Spending a fair amount of time involved in the Christian faith, both Catholic and Protestant, I can tell you I've seen more game playing than in a Las Vegas casino. And yes, I've been in Las Vegas casinos many years ago. I've seen puffed up speakers, teachers, pastors, priests fall like dominoes. I have had to face tendencies, evil tendencies, sinful tendencies in myself. The older you get, I know this is true for me, the more you realize you don't know very much at all. It comes down to faith, hope, perhaps based on a spiritual experience you feel like that you have had, and trust in the Bible as the Word of God. The church experience is often a letdown when you discover people are coming to avoid hellfire, much of the time for interaction with others like a social club, very often, and to feel important, maybe get a position in the church. A weekly ritual of prayer, praise, and preaching does not lead to the transformation of lives. I've said that before. That mission, that goal, that search is always between the speaker and hopefully God. Our hope is in a God that will be available to us as we breathe our last breath. Trusting He will take a ritual and turn it into a powerful, life-changing event. Speakers can conjure up unspiritual drama, a parade of the flesh. It only leads to emptiness or discouragement. It is eventually disregarded. Political witchcraft defines the times, the ongoing exercise of destroying the very best about America. A rather large portion of millennials have raised up a crop of the XYZ generation that is riddled with locusts, riddled with weebles. They lack patriotism, faith, work ethic, fairness, insightfulness, holiness, understanding of history, and political compromise. They do comprehend violence, pouting, anger, perversion, forcing their will on others, and seeking handouts that will completely bankrupt America at some point. Since they live by a me, myself, and I credo, they don't contemplate what their mindless plans will mean for the future. They're all about today. It's all about satisfaction. An addiction to various devices, cell phone, tablets, the various video games and their devices, whether they be played on a computer or on a Xbox, for example. That plays a major role in numbing awareness and also for numbing the feeling of compassion. They have little knowledge of pending war except for the conviction they won't fight in one. These millennials and XYZers threaten to usher in the end of democracy. They are aided by a government that behaves shockingly and without regard to Christian and American principles. The millennials, the XYZers, are joined by older people too. Liberals that became progressive or even bordering on communist people. Some older people join with the progressives because they didn't plan for their retirement, and so they're in the free stuff crowd. How much can we get out of the government? We'll let the government get big and fat, and we'll ignore the fact that it will consume America, because for the older people, they say, well, I won't be around to see it. I won't be around to see it. Especially if they don't have grandchildren, they're not too worried. They're not too worried. Victor Davis Hanson, one of the great, brilliant speakers. Check him out on YouTube and in his podcast. Victor Davis Hanson says that President Joseph R. Biden is the most dangerous president of his lifetime, and he's older than me. The most dangerous, and he said that only 11 months into the Biden presidency. It's gotten much worse after 2 years plus. We know about Kamala Harris. We know her approval rating as I speak to you is minus 17. Literally nobody wants Kamala Harris as president. We have concerns over the DOJ and the FBI. Surprising conduct coming from them. Oh, we remember back in the 60s, the FBI was controversial then. J. Edgar Hoover was a sinister figure. So evil is not something that's new with the millennials and the XYZers. No. They have perfected it. Our sin, those of us like me in their mid-60s, played a role in getting to the place that we're in now here in America. And you can apply this if you're outside of America. Look around you and let me know in the comments here what your experience is where you live and how it has changed over the years for you. I want to hear your insights, your opinions. There's so much more to say here on political witchcraft, but we're going to do it in small doses. We're not going to hit you with too much, and your suggestions for future topics are welcome. Watch all the videos if you can here at the Virtual Church of the Disillusioned that appeal to you. My personal email is jackthefairguy at gmail.com. Jack, the F-A-I-R, guy at gmail.com. I'll see you next time for another edition of Political Witchcraft.